Welcome to a tutorial to make your own fidget toy using 123D design. I'm going to move pretty fast here, so if you run into any troubles, please just pause the video and check out what tool I'm choosing. I'll try to explain it as quickly as I can. So the first thing you want to do is open 123D design and start a new project. You're going to see the work plane in front of you, and you're going to turn to a top view. You're going to use the pan tool to pan to the center of the screen. First, we're going to choose a circle tool. You click to choose where you want it to start, and you're going to choose to make it 22 millimeters. That's roughly the size of the skateboard bearings that are standard. Next, you're going to choose a polygon tool, and you're going to click on the circle we made and then on the center of the circle. You're going to change it to a three-sided polygon, which is of course a triangle. I made mine 26 millimeters, but you might want to make yours slightly smaller. I find that this ends up being slightly large. So now what you're going to do is you're going to use the circle tool to make 3 more circles around the edge. And every time you make a new circle, you have to select the triangle first. Click on the triangle, and then click, well, okay, I'm going to screw up here occasionally. If you screw up, just hit Control-Z to undo what you last did, or the undo button at the top of the page. So once I select the triangle, then I can click the point where I want my circle to start, and again I'm going to make it 22 millimeters in diameter. So we're going to do this 3 times, and then we're going to trim out all of the stuff that we don't want to have be part of our design. And making sure that those are all 22 millimeters is going to make a nice project. If you want something slightly less snug, you can make it a 1/10 of a millimeter larger, or 1/20 of a millimeter larger, or if you want a real challenge, you could even make it smaller. I find that they tend to be pretty snug and maybe have to be hammered in or persuaded. Okay, notice I erased with the trim tool those extra lines, and now I'm going about making an extra circle around each outer bearing, and then I'll have more trimming to do once we're done with that. Again, I'm selecting and then choosing the center point of the circle, making them all the same. I could make these dimensions slightly smaller. Again, my fidget toy ended up being a little bigger, so if you're making one for a small child, I would recommend maybe making it a millimeter or 2 smaller than what I did here. So again, using that trim tool to trim out all of the extra pieces between the circles. Anything that I don't want to have print, that I don't want to have be a different part of the design. I could keep these in here and extrude each section of the design to a different height. I've seen that done quite successfully. But for our choices today, then this is just lovely. So again, I'm going to make another polygon tool, and again I'm going to make a triangle. I just want my design to spin a little bit more effectively, and I find that this works kind of nicely if I make a triangle that's a little bit larger in size. Okay. Oh, I didn't like that one. Let's try this again. Click on the design. Oh, oops. Not sure how that happened. Try again. Click on the polygon tool. Click on the design. Now click a center point. It actually gives you instructions as to what it wants you to do. Again, I have to make that not a 6-sided, but a 3-sided triangle. I don't want a polygon. Though again, you could choose a different shape and work with that. So I'm really trying to get this to be kind of smooth. So I might even have to do some zooming in to really trim out the right tools. I could do this with polylines too, but I really want it to be symmetrical, and I find that if I'm doing a lot of polyline work, sometimes it's hard to get the shapes connected in the way that I want them to look. Okay, so we're getting closer here. Hopefully you're kind of getting a feeling for what this design is going to look like. Sometimes it can be hard to choose the right lines to trim out. You have to make sure the one in red is the one you're trying to get rid of. And you have to make sure all of these extra little lines are taken care of. Oh, forgot one. Okay, zooming and panning is my friend, though of course there's always that checkmark tool too. It's kind of obnoxious. So again, trying to choose which. Okay, so that if you right click, it's different than if you're using the pan tool. I'm orbiting, and now I'm zooming out and panning. And remember that green check mark will help you exit whatever tool you're using. Alrighty, so I'm kind of happy with this design, and I think it's going to be time to extrude it and finish it off. Let's see what I'm going to do next. Alright. So I tilted using the orbit tool, I tilted it a little bit so that I could extrude the design. I'm making it 7 millimeters because of course the depth of the skateboard bearings is 7 millimeters. And now I want to give it a fancy edge. So what I'm going to do is hold the shift key and click all of these edge faces. I chose a tool called fillet or fillet, and then I can actually just curve that down, give it a nice beveled edge. Now I find when I spin this, it's actually kind of hard on the fingers because you kind of get less surface area to actually spin it with, and I feel like if it was a flat surface it actually might be a little more comfortable to spin, so you might want to forgo this particular step. Now I'm using the move tool to flip it 180 so I can fillet the other side, or fillet. I have no idea which is the correct. Notice my drawing is still there below my object. That's kind of nifty. Oh, I'm just erasing my drawing to make it clear. Okay, going to fillet, and you can chamfer to, which is kind of cool. Select everything by using the shift 2. Make sure you have all of those edges selected. And then you press the, use the arrow to press that 3 to level 3, I believe. Okay. So now all I have to do is export this as an STL file. So download for 3D printing, STL, and let's go and do some plugs real quick. So the center diameter, again, you want your top view and you want to be panned to the center. You're going to make a circle that's, just a little bit less than 22 millimeters in diameter, and the reason for that is you don't want it to rub against the rest of the fidget. You're trying for as much free movement as possible. So I think I made it 21.9. And then you're going to extrude this, and then you're going to also extrude a little 8 millimeter in diameter, 3 millimeter thick circle as well. So I just did my 8 millimeter, and I got my 21.9. Now I'm going to take the 8 and I'm going to extrude it to a depth of about 3.5 millimeters. And the reason for that is the depth of my bearing is 7 millimeters. And so if I choose 3 millimeters, then I know that if that sits on that circle, that's going to work. Okay. So we're going to just make this one 1.5. 1.5, something like that. So you can see they're both got some thickness. So how do I get one on top of the other? It's actually a lot easier than you think. I click on, well, we're going to use the snap tool, and we can do it with grouping on or grouping off. I'll show you how to group objects regardless. So I click on the object I want to group, to snap, and then I click on the snap tool. There we go. Snap one to the other, and we're good to go. So now I need to see if those are separate or if they are grouped, and if they aren't grouped, oh, they aren't grouped. So I need to go up to the group tool. Oh, select them both first. Go to the group tool. There it is, grouping, and group those. Now when I click on them and I move, I click on them, and move them. We'll see. Ta-da! Okay. There's another neat trick that one of my students showed me, if your object is sitting off the surface, press the D key, off you go. It will take any object to the surface, whatever object you're selecting. So all I'm going to do is save this as a 3D object, make sure I save my project if I want to come back to it, and we're done.